Just like a phoenix rising from the ashes, you are being reborn with the transformative Scorpio New Moon ahead in your forecast. Hi all, I'm Haley Comet. This is my cosmic corner of the internet, and this is your weekly astrological forecast, Magic Monday. Today we're discussing the cosmic happenings from October 28th to November 3rd, 2024. And beyond just letting you know what is happening within this week's astrology and every week's astrology, here on Magic Monday, we strive to empower you so that you can remember that you are a co-creator with the universe, to not give your power away by feeling like you are just a victim to the cruel and mean planets above you, but really seeking to understand and learn from these celestial patterns and rhythms so that you can live your most magical and your most aligned reality. And this week, there is a spirit of new beginnings in the air. We've got a Scorpio New Moon landing on November 1st. So 11-1, 111. 1 in numerology is a number that is around initiation. So whether you're into astrology, whether you're into numerology, we are getting this signal this week. It's time to begin again. And with this new moon landing in the sign Scorpio, this is a dramatic new beginning. Because the sign Scorpio, it is not known for being lukewarm. It is either fully in or fully out. There is no in between. There's no middle ground when it comes to Scorpio energy. And so there is an alignment this week around fully committing to your own transformation and using this scorpionic energy of crisis and evolution to your advantage to build your future. Because this new moon trines Saturn. So we are bursting into flames. Scorpio is the Phoenix archetype for the purpose of rising back stronger and on more solid foundation. And you are plunging into this shift, into this evolution, into this change fully in ways that may seem a bit extreme. Scorpio is not a sign that's necessarily known for moderation. And so there could be an energy to leverage this crisis-oriented energy of Scorpio by enforcing a crisis of your own. And what I mean by that is, if you are wanting to plunge completely into this new passion project, there could be an extreme decision, an extreme boundary, this new moon trine Saturn, that you enforce around, okay, until I get this new website off the ground, I cannot have the Instagram app on my phone. Other people might be like, why can't you just have moderation? Like, why do you have to completely delete the app off your phone? But there's just a decision around, for me to just fully plunge in this new reality, I need to eliminate distractions. And other people might be like, that seems a little extreme. That seems a little bit dramatic, but there's an energy around, in order to fully jump into this new world, this new project, this new thing, I need to enforce this boundary here. It also could be, in order for me to plunge into health completely, I need to make some more extreme decisions. Maybe I'm completely eliminating sugar in order to prove myself that I can. It's like thrusting ourselves into crisis, not for the purpose of self-destructing, but for the purpose of actually stabilizing with the trine to Saturn, for building forward more powerfully. Sometimes we have to make these decisions around, I cannot have sugar in my life right now. Maybe I need to prove to myself that I have the willpower to exist without sugar. Maybe I need to find out if that's what's causing flare-ups of my acne. Maybe I need to commit to this in order to reintroduce sugar in a healthier way down the line. But at the moment, I need to be black or white. I need to fully commit to no sugar. I need to eliminate this from my life, or eliminate the Instagram app from my life, or something of that nature, in order to plunge into this new reality and to make this crisis-oriented energy of Scorpio work for me around setting a deadline for ourselves, which kind of creates a crisis within itself, but it enforces us to plunge towards that chosen end result, or eliminating something from our life in order to grab hold of our own willpower around this arena of it, or to make a decision that may seem a little extreme to other people around, why can't you just go on Instagram for 5 minutes, but you having that awareness around, I can't. At least at this point in time, I know that I cannot even just have this distraction within my life. In order for me to really move towards the transformation, the evolution that I desire, I need to make this more extreme decision. Some of us could be in that space around wanting to fully commit to who it is that we are evolving into, and leveraging this energy of Saturn, which could be around boundaries, discipline, restrictions, in order to support our own crisis or our own evolution or our own transformation, however that is showing up for you. And other people may not understand that. They may see it as a little extreme around, you can't just have sugar this one night, or you can't just re-download Instagram to see the memes that I DM'd you. Not everybody is going to get it. And we see that reflected within this week's astrology as we have Venus square Saturn. And so there could be an energy of you living within your truth, Venus and Sagittarius, can create some limits or some restrictions around how it is that you connect with others or feel seen with others. There's an energy this week around, I gotta be free, I gotta be me. We see this with Mercury opposing Uranus and then entering Sagittarius. There's a need to be so committed to your own truth or whatever vision that you have your arrow pointed to. Sagittarius is the archer. And to be willing to transform in order to get there, and transform in ways that other people may not relate to, they may not understand, and they don't have to. Gotta be free, I gotta be me is a little bit of a motto as you navigate this week's astrology, because not everybody will understand the visions that you have, and not everybody will understand why you need to enforce the boundaries necessary in order for you to get to that vision. Other people may not understand your own relationship with sugar, your own relationship with Instagram. They could call it extreme, but you know it's necessary in order to get to what it is that you want to get to. And there's a need to really defend your truth or defend what it is that you're moving towards, even if it leads to moments with Venus square Saturn around feeling not understood by others, not valued or appreciated by other people. And that's okay, because they don't necessarily need to understand, but they do need to allow you the freedom in order to enforce these boundaries, make these shifts, plunge towards this transformation, and allow you the freedom to be you. And the best relationships are the ones that allow us to be free to pursue what is meaningful and has truth for our own journey, honoring each individual the space and the freedom to explore that and to find that within themselves. But you may navigate some power plays when it comes to this week's astrology. And we see that with Mars opposing Pluto this Sunday. Because when you start showing up in new ways, when you start exploring new horizons or making these more extreme decisions around what's best for you and your journey and how it is that you're going to evolve forward, the right sort of connections will celebrate that within you. But there could be an energy with Mars opposing Pluto this Sunday around people seeking to control you, seeking to pressure you around, come on, just take the candy, or come on, re-download Instagram so I can post this story of us, whatever it is. These are very innocuous examples, but you could feel a little trampled on over the weekend around people trying to exert their power over you. Around when you're showing up in new ways, it could trigger certain people within your world around, what are you doing showing up within your power? What are you doing making these huge decisions that are bettering your life? That makes me uncomfortable. Do what I want you to do. Be who you've always been, right? Stay rooted within that box. Because sometimes when we make these decisions, it's not that it really genuinely impacts their world, whether or not you eat sugar or have Instagram on your phone. But sometimes if we are interacting with people who are not empowered of their own lives and we make these decisions, they can feel, in a sense, triggered by it, because it could be reflecting to them around what they don't have the strength to do, what they don't have the power to do, which is change their lives if they so choose. So they'll call you extreme. They'll call you ridiculous. They'll even belittle you, bully you, make you feel smaller, pressure you, things of that nature. And this may be in relation to a shift that you are making. It may be something entirely outside of it. And just know that people who try to bully you or belittle you or pressure you is really symptomatic of the powerlessness that they are feeling on their end. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. And there's a real ask this week around not leaking your power out, not letting people who belittle and bully you win by you reverting to prior spaces, prior ways of showing up, prior ways of advocating for yourself, or perhaps even a failure to advocate for yourself. There's a real emphasis. We've got a lot more fire coming alive in the cosmos. We've got Mercury entering Sagittarius, as I highlighted, and then Mars entering Leo late Sunday night. And with fire energy, it's like coming back to remembering who it is that you are and not allowing people's judgments around. That's so extreme. You can't have Instagram on your phone, or that's so extreme. You can't just eat a little bit of candy. Not allowing that to derail you from who it is that you are, from what it is that you are seeking to find, from the direction that you are going, the truth that you are moving towards, and the power that you have. So we will dive deeply into this astrology thematically as well as day by day. But before we do, take a step inside my cosmic cafe. My loves, what are we sipping on as we step into this week's astrology? Happy Halloween, by the way. Comment below what your sign is and what you're dressing up as for Halloween. Is there a connection between them that you can think of? Like, is there a reason why you are a Cancer sun and you're drawn to this particular costume? I would love to know. Today, I'm dressed up as a cosmic cheerleader. I thought this would be appropriate because that's really what I envision myself as doing here in the Cosmic Corner, is really utilizing the language of astrology in order to empower, inspire, motivate you to keep going, to score that touchdown, to shoot that three-pointer, whatever that may look like within your world. I'm so proud of myself because I dressed up every single week of October, and I really only spent, I think, $6. I spent a total of $6 on my costume. I mean, some of them were very low effort, but the only supplies that I had to buy was for last week's costume, being a Pisces. I love when you guys commented pumpkin Pisces. That's so cute. We're gonna say that's what I was. That was the only costume where I actually had to go buy things. I just had to buy those little letter C's, and then the pie on my shirt was actually just a pumpkin pie napkin that I found. So very inexpensive costume, but everything else were things that I already had. I'm a Pisces, so I love embodying different personas and pretending to be different people via the costumes. But a lot of times buying things that I just wear once, it just feels so wasteful. So I loved this year that I got to challenge myself to dressing up every single week while repurposing things that I already had. So this week I'm wearing my own uniform, actually, from when I was a cheerleader in high school. And I'm not wearing all of it. There's like a part of it that says what high school I went to, which I am not wearing. I had a cheer coach who was a Capricorn and quite intimidating. And she would always say how we were forbidden to wear our uniform ever again. I don't feel like this counts because I don't have the part that says what high school I went to. And I purchased this uniform fair and square from when I was a freshman in high school, which is kind of trippy to think about, that I was 14 when I got this uniform and I'm 30 now. So that means I've spent more than half of my life in this uniform. I mean, not that I ever wear it these days, but kind of trippy to think about. So I already had this, and then I just took this like iron-on Saturn patch that I have, and I don't have an iron, so I just affixed it to the uniform with a hair straightener, and it seems to work well, and voila, instant cosmic cheerleader. And as you can imagine from my having been a cheerleader in the past, as well as the ways that I currently cheerlead you all here in the Cosmic Corner every single week, I am someone who is more high energy, who is more peppy, and I'm super grateful to Magic Mind for keeping the pep in my step without feeding into my tendency to be a little bit more hyper distracted all over the place. Because I really value within my personality that I am someone who is bubbly, that I am someone who gets excited about things, that I am someone who finds joy in things, who finds joy in cheering people on or cheering people up. I value that about my personality, but I also know that that component of myself can sometimes lead me to showing up in very hyper distracted, all over the place sort of ways. That's really not so effective nor productive. You know, talking about Scorpio season, we talk a lot about extremes. And I'm someone in the past where my energy has shown up in very extreme ways, where it'd either be completely hyper, all over the place, excitable, distracted by everything, or I would just completely crash. And oftentimes, in order to combat that crash, I would just load my body up with highly caffeinated energy drinks or countless cups of coffee, trying to get my energy back, but instead really just feeding my own anxiety and causing me to show up in this kind of jittery, all over the place way. And what I've found from integrating Magic Mind within my daily routine is that it's helped me find the midline, allowing my energy to show up in a little bit more of a streamlined, grounded way. And how it does this is that there is some caffeine in here. There's matcha, which is a healthier form of caffeine, so you get a little bit of a boost, but it's much more sustainable than these high highs and low lows. With the adaptogens, the nootropics, and the vitamins within, it really supports your body in, yes, being energized, inspired, and motivated, but in a more sustainable, grounded way. Because of the adaptogens within, it helps you stress less. So yes, you get that energy boost without being jittery or anxious or all over the place. There's also nootropics within, which allow you to focus, to streamline your ideas, to streamline your inspiration, to streamline your motivation. So you're actually able to bring these exciting ideas to life. I would find when I'm existing in this kind of hyper, all over the place way, I might be inspired, but I'm not grounded enough in order to really bring these visions to life. So by supplementing Magic Mind within my daily routine, I've been able to cut down to only 1 cup of coffee every single day, which is a tremendous achievement for me. I don't have that afternoon crash midday, and I'm able to actually focus in order to bring my visions and my ideas to life. I also love that integrating Magic Mind within your daily routine is a really seamless way to regularly support your body's immunity. Because of the vitamins that are within, it could be super helpful in warding off colds that tend to go around this time of year. I super love that Magic Mind believes in their products so much that they have 100% money back guarantee. So if you are not satisfied with Magic Mind in any way, you can reach out and you will receive a full refund, no questions asked. Like, to me, that really enforces how committed they are to this product and how much they believe in this product, and I do as well. So I'm able to show up as my peppy, bubbly self without being all over the place, hyper, distracted, what have you. So if you are curious on Magic Mind or you want to get on subscription like I am, you can utilize my code Comet in order to get 20% off. So thank you so much, Magic Mind, for sponsoring this week's Magic Monday and making sure that this cosmic cheerleader has some cheer in her. I'm gonna go ahead and take my shot. Cheers, loves, to a week of powerful new beginnings. So rolling right along from Cosmic Café into the next segment of Magic Monday called Vibe Check of the Week. And this is when we compare the many astrological happenings playing out within this week's sky to a real life hypothetical scenario. It's not me saying that this exact situation will play out within your universe this week, but when you tune into the high level vibe, dynamic, theme, emotions within the vibe check, you may see some of those surface within your world, albeit in a different arena of life, within a different relationship dynamic, or this week, potentially with a different destructive habit of yours that you are wanting to eliminate. Because this week's astrology feels like the decision to stop drinking. And within the vibe check, we'll say that you are making this decision because you are struggling to drink in moderation. As I said before, sometimes Scorpio can veer towards these extremes. And it's not that you drink every day, but you're recognizing with all of the Halloween parties, you're recognizing that when you go out with your friends, when you're at parties, when you're gathering for wine nights, whatever that may look like, you're finding that you are oftentimes surpassing your limit. You're oftentimes going to extremes, even when the situation does not necessarily warrant you going to such an extreme. And you gain this awareness that there's an element of your relationship with alcohol that you want to investigate. And so you make the decision to abstain. And it's not that you're necessarily saying that you will never take a sip of alcohol ever again, but you do make the decision that you need some distance from it, that you need to go extreme around no alcohol whatsoever in order to get clarity on the role that alcohol plays within your world, on your relationship to it. And not all of us may be making that decision around alcohol, but maybe you're contemplating it with something else in your life that maybe in and of itself is not toxic, but maybe your reliance on it is toxic, maybe the lack of moderation around it is toxic, or maybe there's just a need for a cleanse or a renewal of some sort. Because oftentimes when we do abstain from something, we do get clarity around it. Like maybe for you, it's not necessarily alcohol. Maybe you've chosen to go no contact with someone. And there will be times, both with cutting out alcohol as well as cutting out somebody in your life, in the initial process of, purging and shedding that thing within your life, you will feel tempted to reach for it. Part of you may feel like you're dying, right, without this thing within your life. But something magical happens. Once you get over that hump of feeling like you are grieving and just wanting to reach for it over and over, almost having this addictive sensation around wanting to text this person or wanting to reach for a glass of wine or what have you, something magical happens once you get over that hump of that like extreme discomfort, having eliminated this from your life, is that you get clarity. It's a bit like a truth serum, honestly, going no contact or cutting something out of your life. Because once you can get over that addictive pull towards it, you begin to step back and investigate your relationship with it. You begin to look for what are the uncomfortable feelings that surface that make me want to reach for a glass of wine or make me want to text that person who's not bringing the best out of me. You also get to see, how do I feel without this thing in my life? Because again, at first you will feel like hell when you cut out anything, particularly if it creates all these feel-good chemicals within your brain. You'll want to reach for it out of reflex. But after a certain period of time, that's when the clarity kicks in and you begin to like really tune into, how do I feel without this person in my phone, without this social lubricant that I lean upon at parties? You begin to get a lot of clarity around this thing and its role in your life. And it's not to say that we need to live in extremes forever, that you need to never talk to that person ever again, that you need to never drink ever again. But sometimes we get this cue that we need to get a little extreme with it in order to find that clarity, to literally remove it from our life in order to contemplate, what is the role of this thing within my world? When do I feel compelled to reach for it, to text it, to lean upon it? And how do I feel without it? Sometimes that could be the clarity that you're looking for. And when you acknowledge, like, I have this kind of extreme relationship with alcohol, it's time for me to have some distance around it to really investigate that. That is exactly the vibe within this week's astrology. But we'll say that you decide to make this decision and it just so happens it's Halloween. You've got lots of plans. You're dressed up as a kitty cat. You're dressed up as a kitty cat this year and you have plans with your friends. So it's not optimal timing, but you just have this energy around now or never. I just need to prove to myself that I can do this. I need to show myself that I have the willpower in order to make this decision and commit to it. And so you still decide to go to the Halloween parties, but your friends aren't completely understanding why you're making this decision. They think it's funny when you are super inebriated and you do ridiculous things, but they don't have to necessarily deal with like the anxiety the next morning around, gosh, I went too far yet again. They just see it as, oh, fun party, good times. But you have to deal with the anxiety around not having a clear recollection of everything you did, as well as this feeling of defeat around, how did I go beyond my limit again? This week we have some Neptune aspects, and Neptune does have to deal with escapism, fantasy, which may be good for a Halloween costume, certainly. But the very nature of Neptune is that it is around dissolving boundaries, and it can be all too easy for, that one glass of wine to turn into 3 glasses of wine, or maybe in a different arena of your life, for just texting this person every so often to being completely absorbed in this person's energy. The very nature of Neptune tends to diffuse and fog and confuse, and we'll say that that's been the nature of your drinking, where it's like, I don't know how I'm waking up again feeling so sluggish and confused about the night prior. I don't know where I went wrong, and I might need to forcibly enact clarity by cutting this out of my life altogether until we will interact with it in a healthier way. And so that's exactly what you decide to do, but your friends don't exactly understand it. They're like, come on, it's Halloween, like have some fun. And you say, I'm still gonna go to the parties, I'm just not gonna drink, and it's great. I'll be the designated driver, it's gonna be great. When you get to these parties, you do feel a bit on the outside looking in, and that's reflected by this week's Venus square Saturn aspect, which can sometimes make us feel a little socially awkward, a little distant from people around us, and even potentially a little less loved. You're looking at this party and everybody bonding, and you just feel somewhat disconnected from it. Because if you've ever cut out alcohol and kind of been around environments when a lot of people are drinking, it's not that you can't intentionally have connection, but a lot of times people who are very inebriated when you're completely sober are a little bit obnoxious, a little bit loud, a little all over the place, and you just aren't on the same wavelength because you've made this decision. And so you are feeling a little awkward, you are feeling a little tired, you do look adorable in the kitty cat costume, but you're feeling a little disconnected. And your friend Angelina pulls you aside at the party and tells you you're being such a wet blanket, like loosen up a little bit. You could just play one game of Flip Cup. Like tomorrow you can start your sobriety journey. Like just play this one time. Like you're acting like you're better than us. And you stand up for yourself. You say, Angelina, this is important to me, and if you're my friend, you would understand that this is something that's important to me. Also, I'm designated driver, so why on earth would you pressure me to drink? And I don't think I'm better than you. This is just something that I want to do for myself. And she says, it's not like you have a problem with alcohol. Like you don't drink in the morning, you don't have the shakes, like you're totally fine. Just drink. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. Like pressuring you. And you stand up for yourself. You say, Angelina, if you were my friend, you would believe me when I say that I need to look at my relationship with alcohol. There are dynamics that maybe you don't see. And if you were truly my friend, you would support that and support where it is that I'm feeling called to evolve in this particular way. And the energy of Angelina kind of cornering you at this party and pressuring you is represented by Mars opposite Pluto, which, as I said within the intro, can create this energy of feeling a little bullied, feeling a little belittled, people trying to exert their power over you around, come on, just one drink of alcohol, and even pushing your limits as she did around, you can start tomorrow, just have one sip, just have one sip. And the energy around you standing your ground and standing firm to Angelina is represented by Mercury and Scorpio opposite Uranus and Taurus. This can, of course, create unexpected messages, unexpected news that comes in, but it can also be using your voice to break free of expectations that other people have put on you. Like Angelina sees you as, oh, the fun party version of you, and potentially she was accustomed to how you typically show up where she could bully you to do things that you're not always comfortable with, but you stood in your power and disrupted that expectation that she had of you and said something that potentially she was not expecting. And it's not to say within the vibe check that this breaks your relationship with Angelina or that Angelina is a horrible person. Maybe she just had a lot to drink and didn't realize how pushy she was being. But there is a need this week to really stand firm in who it is that you are and who it is that you're evolving to be. And you might find that some of the decisions you're making may seem to other people to be a little extreme around, I need to enact no contact with this person within my life. I need to no longer drink. I need to go on an elimination diet until I figure out what is messing with my digestion. There could be certain decisions that you're making that are going to honestly and truly set you up on a more solid foundation with the trine to Saturn. But some people might find it extreme. You might disrupt people's expectations of you. With Mercury opposite Uranus, you could feel a little lonely with a Venus square Saturn. You know, when it comes to alcohol, it's something that we typically do socially. If you're on some sort of elimination diet, trying to figure out what's messing with your digestion, there might be certain dinners that you're not able to go to. Or if you're fully committing to your own entrepreneurial journey, there might be certain social events that you're not able to say yes to. But there really is an energy with the Scorpio New Moon to keep your eye on your own evolution, and with the trine to Saturn to keep your eye on your higher self. We talked a lot about that in last week's Magic Monday, which I'll link above as well as below, where your higher self or your future self is so grateful that you are making this decision, that you're getting to the bottom of what's messing with your digestion, that you are really investigating your relationship to alcohol, that you are really looking at whether or not this is a healthy, non-toxic relationship within your life, like your future self thanks you. So we will continue to add nuance and depth to this week's vibe check within our day-by-day analysis. I just have a couple of quick notes before we do. The first being there are timestamps below if you want to jump to a particular day or jump back to a particular day. The time zone that I typically utilize is Pacific. Now, important note, on Sunday, November 3rd, daylight savings time ends if you are somewhere that has daylight savings time. And so from Sunday onward, the time zone that I will utilize is PST. From Monday to Saturday of this forecast, the time zone I'm utilizing is PDT. So just know that I'm referencing when these transits occur based on Pacific time zone. So you may need to adjust to your local time zone in order to figure out when exactly you'll feel these energies. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and take it into the astrology forecast for Monday, October 28th. So happy Monday. Welcome to your forecast for Monday, October 28th. The week starts off with Mars in Cancer, trine Neptune in Pisces, landing at 5:31 a.m. PDT. And at the high level, this is the energy around flowing with the universe, taking aligned, intuitive action, allowing yourself to be guided by the emotional and energetic undercurrents that may not be visible but are intensely powerful, and honoring them as data. It's easy to snooze our intuition. It's easy to allow other people's expectations of us, or what we typically do, even just what's logical and rational within a situation, to be louder than what is occurring beneath the surface. But particularly on Monday, it's a really important time to really allow your intuition to guide you, because with the trine to Neptune, when you listen, when you take aligned action, you will find that you are at the right place at the right time. And sometimes aligned action means aligned non-action, right? Sometimes it's this energy around, gosh, I was going to work on this particular project, but I am absolutely fatigued, absolutely exhausted. Rather than forcing, how can I work with this rhythm of my body in order to give myself the rest that I need? Or within the vibe check, I'm just feeling guided that I need to make this decision within my life. It's not going to make sense to people outside of me, but there's something from deep within that is nudging me within this direction. Because things don't come out of nowhere. Your emotions don't come out of nowhere. Your intuitive hits don't come out of nowhere. Oftentimes we gaslight ourselves around, I don't know why I feel this way, or I don't know if I'm valid around feeling this way, or I don't know why I have this certain intuitive pull. And so we snooze, we ignore. Maybe we get this download or this hit around, yeah, I should probably go sober for some time to figure out my relationship to it. But then we get peer pressure to go to this party. We get peer pressure to go to Flip Cup. We even tell ourselves, oh, it doesn't make sense. I don't have a problem. It's not like I drink in the morning or anything of that nature. So we snooze that intuitive hit that we are receiving that can be paving the way for where spirit, universe, source energy is guiding us. Because maybe it's a temporary shift. Maybe you're getting this download, this hit around it's time to stop drinking, because within that space of no longer drinking and maybe saying no to some social obligations, maybe that's going to be necessary for your next creative project. Maybe there's something else that you'll utilize to spend the time that will be more supportive of you. Maybe it's going to be a driver for lots of growth that occurs within your own landscape. We don't always know what we're being set up for. When Neptune energy is involved, Neptune is very mystical, very spiritual energy, and we oftentimes don't know why our intuition is signaling us to make the decisions that we are making, but it's important to make them nonetheless. So let's say you do make a decision around, I no longer want to drink, or I need to limit access to myself from this particular relationship. It may not be something that other people understand. It might not even be something that you understand around, I don't know why I'm feeling so guided towards this, but I need to listen to my inner voice. And Mars is not dignified in Cancer. It's not too happy where it's sitting currently, but it is powerful when we allow ourselves to listen to our own emotions, to our own oscillations of energy, to our own intuitive hits, and really not judging ourselves if we need rest, if we're feeling inspired to do something, if we're not feeling so inspired to do something. It's so important to listen to those nudges within your inner landscape and honor what it is that you are feeling guided to nurture yourself with. Because this could be an energy around you wake up and you do feel inspired. You are wanting to take inspired action. You're wanting to go for a long walk that you get lost in, or have a workout that you get lost in. With Mars trining Neptune, that could absolutely be the case. But for some of you, you might feel more low energy, and you're being asked to kind of nurture yourself and honor and restore your inner reserves, as well as honoring what gives me energy versus what depletes it. Like maybe your decision to cut out alcohol is you realizing the next morning after drinking too much yet again, you're like, I feel exhausted. I feel depleted. I have nothing left to give. Why am I doing something that is taking such a toll on me? Like, this is not nurturing myself with the energy of Cancer. And listen, even though Mars is leaving the territory of its fall this week, this Sunday to be exact, when Mars enters Leo, we still are needing to really ration our energy stores because Mars retrograde is on the horizon. Mars is currently treading through territory of its shadow period, which means that it'll revisit this territory of the sky. And it's just a time in which we're really being asked to bucket our energy towards what is truly nourishing and what is truly nurturing. And so some of us could be looking at certain things that we do and recognizing how much energy it drains from us. And honestly, with Mars in pre-retrograde shadow, it's like, in this economy, I don't have the energy to expend towards this situation. We're all operating on limited energy with Mars in its pre-retrograde shadow. So you're really having to get intentional around bucketing it towards what really means something to you or what really nourishes and nurtures your inner stores, and potentially cutting out what does not nourish and nurture your inner stores. And with Mars trine Neptune, I mean, this would be a beautiful day to volunteer, to put your energy towards something bigger than yourself that oftentimes does give you energy. My best advice with Mars in Cancer is really pay attention to what's not visible, but what can be so impactful with how it is that we interact with the world. Every social environment, every work project, really observe what gives you energy and what depletes it, as well as honor what activities you have within your world that give you energy versus depletes it. Honor these inner rhythms, because like I said, when it comes to emotions, intuition, and even just the energetic currents of this experience, it's easy to gaslight ourselves around it. I'm just so drained because I'm lazy. It's like, are you drained because you're lazy, or are you just not doing the things that really nurture you or light you up? Are you drained because you're lazy, or did you spend time with somebody who just dumped all their problems on you for 3 hours and didn't ask you how you were doing? Like, really allowing yourself to honor the data of what adds to your energy levels versus what depletes it, as well as how it is that you can nurture and nourish your inner energy stores. There can be activities that you do earlier this week that help you feel more connected to something bigger than yourself. Honor your intuition, even like when it comes to work and business. If you feel inspired around, I want to start working on this particular project, or I'm getting this nudge that it's time to handle this. Honor those rhythms. The more that you listen to your intuition and take aligned action, the stronger and stronger that the voice of your intuition will be. It's like when we work the muscle of our intuition, we start to really get some definition within our intuitive biceps, right? Around the more that you honor it and really learn to trust it, the more you will receive those downloads or those nudges around when to take action, when to hold back. I had shared within some prior Magic Mondays that I went through something in 2024 that caused me to feel so disconnected from my intuition and so disconnected from myself. There was an energy within where I felt like God, universe, spirit had abandoned me. It was so strange. I could connect and tap in for other people, for clients, but when it came to my own inspiration or my own connection, it quite literally felt like crickets. I was like, are you there, God? It's me, Haley. Like, what is going on? And the reason I got so disconnected was because earlier this year, I made a decision. And I had so much guidance nudging me to not make this particular decision. Like, I'm talking signs, dreams, nudges, messages, data. There was so much all around me. It's like universe was screaming at me, don't do it, girl. And that's typically the guidance system that I utilize. But I convinced myself, I gaslit myself around, no, it won't be so bad, it won't be so bad. And once I made this decision, that's when my intuition went silent. And the signs and the nudges and the dreams completely stopped. And I started getting more readings, just wanting so deeply to like reconnect to spirit. I felt very lonely, honestly, not having that connection to spirit, to God, universal source energy that I always had. I felt, like I said, abandoned. And I think the reason why it went crickets, why I got so disconnected from my intuition, is because I did not listen. So it's almost that energy around, you have a GPS, or in this modern day and age, we have our phones, right? We plug in a certain destination that we want to go to, and the guidance system is telling us, okay, you made a wrong turn, U-turn, U-turn, U-turn. And then to a certain degree, it's just like recalculating, ... It just like gives up on you. Have you ever had that with your maps where it just like gives up on you? It's like, you're on your own. Listen, you're clearly going your own way. So why do you need us? Why do you need this maps app if you're just gonna freestyle and find your own way to your chosen destination? And that was kind of the vibe of what I went through, is like Spirit had so many signs, so many messages. I look back on them and I'm like, girly girl, if you do not U-turn right now. But there I went, kept driving, telling myself, I'll get to my destination, even though universe, source energy, with all of its grand maps and satellites of the situation was like, girl, you are going the wrong way, your destination. You do not want any parts of what you're driving to. So I didn't listen. And it was like the energy of it getting frozen around recalculating, and my driving alone, not having this guidance system that I had come to rely on, but yet I wasn't even trusting to really listen. So it made me feel incredibly disconnected with my journey, with my path, with getting to my destination. And once I finally reversed that decision that I made earlier this year, slowly and surely my intuition came back. And now I think it's so strong because A, I deeply value having this connection, because now I know what it feels like when it had vacated. And B, I found out for myself what happens when I don't listen, right? When I freestyle and decide, nope, I'm driving this way, my destination will pop up eventually. Universe was like, it's not there. And we're sick of telling you to U-turn. So now it's like me and my intuition are like this, and I'm very protective of it. I honor the guidance that it gives me. If it tells me to U-turn, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna U-turn. I don't need to F around and find out again. I effed around and found out earlier this year what Spirit was trying to avoid for me. And now I really trust it. I trust it implicitly. And when I view it from that lens, I think it was a divine detour, truly. As much time as I feel like I wasted driving the wrong direction this year and how disconnected I felt with intuition, now I really trust it. Because I feel like those are the moments that we learn to trust our intuition the most, when you're like, I knew, I had a gut instinct that this was not it for me, and I didn't listen. Because then the next time you have that gut instinct, you listen. And then the next time you have that gut instinct, you listen. Because you know how bad it can get when you don't listen to that instinct, or when you are proven right. As much as you didn't want your intuition to be on point, it was. And we also strengthen it by seeing the positive results as well, right? When we get a nudge, I'm going to do this particular thing or take a line of action here, and it works out beautifully, that also strengthens the trust that we have in ourselves and the trust that we have in our intuition. And with Mars and Cancer trining Neptune, the trust that we have in the universe, should we pay attention? Should we honor that muscle? Should we honor that call? And sometimes we don't understand why we're having a certain gut instinct or receiving an intuitive hit to move in a certain direction. And sometimes people around us don't understand as well. And we see that with Monday's astrology, with Venus in Sagittarius squaring Saturn in Pisces, which exacts at 6:35 a.m. PDT. Which was the energy of you being at the party, feeling disconnected, feeling a little socially awkward, and feeling a little less loved, honestly. We'll say that you saw all of your friends drunk and happy, group hugging and playing flip cup, and you're just on a different wavelength. I think with more and more the cosmos in Sagittarius, there is a desire to do our own thing, to be free, and to not feel pressured to fit into other people's expectations of us, to be able to be free to be our own person. But this decision that you've made to separate yourself from the pack or from the normal way of doing things, it did lead you to feel a little disconnected, to feel a little lost. Like, what am I doing at this party? All of these conversations seem meaningless to me. I'm not really having fun. It's not to say that you actually don't have really deep, nourishing relationships, but you're certainly not feeling it at this party. And you have made this decision to kind of go on your own wavelength, which sometimes can feel a little lonely, honestly, when we decide to go on this quest around following our own arrow, around what's giving our life a sense of meaning and truth at this moment. Now, how this may surface for you on Monday is that you may be feeling a sensation of restriction around love, money, and pleasure. So there could be an energy around not really finding enjoyment from what it is that you typically find enjoyment from. Around, typically this party's so fun, but I'm just not enjoying it. Or typically I have so much fun dressing up for Halloween and I'm just not feeling it this year. You also could feel a little limited on funds at this moment with Venus square Saturn, having to budget. Maybe you overspent over the weekend and now on Monday morning you're looking at your bank account like, girly girl, how did I spend all this money? Maybe that was part of the inspiration within the vibes vibe check around wanting to cut back on drinking, realizing how much money it is taking from you, right? And wanting to put your money towards things that have more meaning for you. But nevertheless, with Venus square Saturn, there is this energy around feeling a little less loved, feeling a little less abundant, and potentially maybe even feeling a little less free. You know, Venus in Sagittarius so wants to feel free, right? Free to move in different horizons. And sometimes when we make decisions, when we enact willpower, when we have discipline around, I will not drink, or I'm cutting these things out of my diet, or I'm going no contact with this person, a lot of times it can hinder our sensation of freedom around, I feel so stuck. The energy of Saturn does ask us for delayed gratification around there might be decisions that we make that to the short term do feel limiting around, gosh, I can't drink. Gosh, I can't text my ex. Gosh, I can't eat sugar. Gosh, that makes me feel limited and stuck that I can't do certain things. I don't feel very free. But in the long term, the short-term sacrifices that you are making now are leading to long-term payoffs, which is true freedom. True freedom around no longer feeling powerless within your relationship to alcohol, no longer siphoning your power by allowing someone access to you who has continually mistreated you, by cutting something out that was leading to detrimental effects on mind, body, soul. That's big picture freedom. That's real freedom. That's beyond you just being able to do whatever it is that you want in this particular moment. That's setting yourself up to not siphon your power away or to be ensnared by anything that is toxic or destructive. That's real freedom. That's real empowerment. And in the short term, that can look like discipline. That could mean deciding to say no to go to a certain event because you're saving for a long-term purchase down the line. That can mean saying no to that drink because you really want to feel good tomorrow and you know that'll take a toll on you. It's deciding to order something that may be a little less pleasing on the palate, but you know will genuinely nourish your body. It's those short-term sacrifices for long-term payoff and truly feeling a free life with the energy of Venus and Sagittarius, which again, in the short term, might not make us feel as free, but think of big picture freedom that you are moving towards. And this really could show up within our relationships. With Venus and Sagittarius, we really are wanting to feel free. Hence kind of the conflict in this week's vibe check where you are a free sovereign individual. You don't need to do what your friends are doing. You are free to go in your own directions, in your more meaningful directions. And the right people around you will celebrate that. And sometimes it gets tricky when it comes to like intimate connections with Venus and Sagittarius around wanting to feel free, be our own person, go on our own adventures, but also having certain commitments where it's like, well, I do have to tell my spouse where it is that I'm going. Or, well, I do need to vocalize to my partner that I need to have some free time this week. Or, well, I do need to get a dog sitter for me to plan for this trip that I want to have. Like, sometimes when it comes to the commitments within our life, it can make us feel temporarily less free, where it's like, I can't just pick up and go on this amazing vacation tomorrow because I have dogs that rely on me. I have a spouse that needs to know these particular things. I have financial obligations that I need to provide for. Honestly, a helpful reframe is that it is a gift to have things in this lifetime that we are responsible for. As frustrating as it can be, like it is such a privilege to have pets, right? It is such a gift to be able to have a spouse or to have people that we care about that we need to dial in these decisions. Does it lead to sometimes temporary hindrances in our experience of feeling free? Yes, but pay attention to the big picture. You could like have this energy around going to pay your electricity bill or your phone bill and grumbling about it around, oh, it's so expensive. Pay attention to what you're investing in. Like you're investing in lights within your home and heating within your home and power to power up your refrigerator to keep your food cold. Like these are all privileges, truly, to have these things. Like it is a gift to have bills. I know what you're thinking, but it is a gift to have a mortgage payment. It is a gift to have a rent payment. It is a gift to have electricity payment because there are a lot of people who do not have those things and would love to have those things. And if you have the finances to put towards those things, you are an incredibly blessed individual. And just being mindful of even the attitude or the mindset you go into paying the bills. Pay your bills with gratitude. That is one of the best ways to step into abundance is even if the phone bill's a little high, electricity is a little high, pay attention to the value that it adds within your life around, I'm so grateful that I have a phone and that I have people to text and to call, I'm so grateful that I have electricity in this home that is mine. I'm so grateful I have this cat, even though the vet visit was $1 million. I'm so grateful to have the love of this cat and to be able to have the resources to take my cat to the vet. Like, these are all blessings. Yes, it requires sacrifices and discipline and restriction, but it is a blessing to have these particular bills. So even that mindset shift can be helpful. And again, it could be this energy around, yeah, those gin and tonics at the bar over the weekend, I actually didn't find value in that. That didn't actually add a lot to my life, and maybe I'm making adjustments to my budget to accommodate what it is that I really value. Can also be an energy of this. And so from a lunar perspective on Monday, for a majority of the day, the moon is in the sign Virgo, which does draw our awareness to being of service, to being efficient, to being healthy. There is a desire to show up for our physical world. You could find a sense of feeling soothed by creating order within your environment, by organizing your environment in some regard. And Virgo itself tends to be an energy that can skew towards nervousness, feeling a little bit more neurotic, and that can be very telling what it is that we reach for in order to relieve that anxiety. Because like I said, when we cut out anything from our lives, a lot of times the first initial part of it will be quite hellish, right? Because maybe we turn to alcohol to soothe that anxiety when we're in social environments. Maybe this is someone that we would always reach out to when we were upset and they kind of became this emotional crutch. Like, sometimes we look for things that are band-aids on a fried nervous system rather than creating a life that genuinely just regulates your nervous system, right? Rather than drinking to mask this discomfort, how can we try to show up for mind, body, soul in ways where we don't feel so fried and nervous going into environments? Are we trying to numb the cues from our physical body that this actually isn't a good environment for us to be in? And rather than honoring that nudges from within, we're just drinking to mask that discomfort or that nervousness or feeling on edge. Or even when it comes to someone within our lives, if there is a desire to go no contact with someone, rather than showing up for yourself when something happens and you feel on edge and you want to reach out to this person to create a band-aid on it, what if there was magic awaiting you if you were to self-soothe, if you were to just check in around, where is this feeling coming from? How can I get to the root of it, rather than reaching for these band-aid things in order to numb myself or to disconnect from this anxiety or this nervousness that is brewing within. This just could be something that we are contemplating, because with Monday's astrology, the moon will square Jupiter, it sextiles Mercury, it trines Uranus, opposes Neptune, and sextiles Mars, which, if we were to put that all together, it just feels like a new way of showing up for yourself. Rather than escaping it by just drinking a glass of wine, then I'll feel less nervous, or let me just text this person because then I don't have to deal with what it is that I don't want to deal with. I could just distract myself with the high of connecting with this person. It will feel uncomfortable when we take away those band-aids, right? Those things that we reach for in order to numb our own nervousness that is brewing within. But a lot of times we can find genuine insights within it, which is why when you aren't leaning upon those things, when you make that extreme decision around cutting out alcohol, going no contact with this person, that's where the clarity comes from. You will have moments that you'll want to reach for those things, even if they are toxic or not good for you. But the clarity comes when you feel the feelings and see how it is that you can self-soothe yourself within it, rather than reaching for what's easiest or what will numb it or what will take it away. When you really sit with this discomfort around, what is this trying to tell me? How can I show up for myself in this moment? Why am I feeling so uncomfortable here that I'm feeling this desire to want to check out and drink? That's where the clarity comes from, is taking those moments around feeling so tempted to reach for something, numb something, but instead seeing, what is this here to show me? Or what is this here to teach me? Now, to a very literal level, yes, you could have some new ideas and inspiration brewing on Monday. We've got the Virgo moon sextile Mercury, but you also can feel overwhelmed, skittish with the Virgo moon squaring Jupiter. It opposes Neptune, which can sometimes be this energy around having so much to do, but feeling overwhelmed where to start with it. It can sometimes be this energy around wanting to escape or run away from our responsibilities of daily life. With the trine to Uranus, it can be this really really helpful energy around finding novel ways of going about your routines or your day-to-day. And with the energy of the Virgo moon sextile Mars in Cancer, also honor the nudges of intuitive action, particularly as it relates to health matters, work matters, cleaning matters, errand matters, Virgo-like matters. And the Virgo moon that evening at 8:54 p.m. will trine Pluto in Capricorn, which can be an energy around feeling powerful because you showed up for what is genuinely the most healthy for you. Around, I felt that temptation to reach out to this person to avoid my discomfort. I felt that temptation to reach for a glass of wine because this social environment was kind of awkward and I felt disconnected. But I didn't. I didn't go with what was easiest at that moment. That can lead us to us feeling more empowered. Like, you might have felt a little awkward at the party because you weren't drinking like everybody else. You might have cried in your bed rather than reach out to your ex or reach out to an ex-friend or what have you. But you get that gift of dignity at the end of the day around, I made a decision to myself and I stuck by it. Like, that's powerful, not to listen to every whim and fancy that comes from within, just reaching for what will temporarily relieve our discomfort or relieve our nervousness. It's a powerful thing to sit in the discomfort and not let it rule you or run your life, and thinking of future you. That leads to us feeling more powerful. And even to very micro things within your life around feeling powerful because you decided to meal prep this week rather than spending money on DoorDash, right? Venus square Saturn, not the time to be spending our money willy-nilly. And so you feel more powerful around, yes, it took a sacrifice of my time, having to go and buy the ingredients and meal prep everything, but I feel more powerful because I showed up for myself and what's genuinely healthiest for not just body, but also wallet, right? And so on Monday night, there just could be an energy around making decisions that tomorrow you will be grateful for, even if there is short-term discomfort, sacrifice, what have you. The moon is void after it trines Pluto until it enters Libra at 9:30 p.m. So on Tuesday, October 29th, the moon is in Libra all day long, which draws our awareness to our relationships, our connections, our partnerships, and the harmony within them, as well as the harmony potentially that is not within them. And I say that because we are in the waning crescent moon phase as we prepare for Friday's Scorpio New Moon. And this is a lunar phase that is associated with clearing out, releasing, and renewing. And even though the energy of Libra is typically very nourished by our partnerships within our world, by connecting with those that we hold near and dear, there could be elements that you navigate midweek where you do feel a little disconnected, you do feel a little lonely. We had Venus square Saturn yesterday. The Libra moon is answering to its ruler Venus, who's separating from Saturn. So there can be an energy around really wanting togetherness, really wanting to feel close, but maybe just feeling like you're on different wavelengths with people around you. And it's important to know that when the moon's in Libra, it does pass the South Node. And so there can be an energy around needing to release this attachment to harmony or keeping the peace in order to follow what will genuinely lead to your own freedom or your own empowerment, with the Libra moon answering to Venus in Sagittarius. But like we've been talking about with the Libra South Node and with the recent Libra eclipse that we had, if we have peace out here but war in here, it's not true peace. And the energy of Libra is a balance of self or other, which does entail allowing one another to be free. You are the ruler of your life. Angelina is the ruler of her life. And sometimes when we are in certain connections, when we are in certain relationships, there can be an energy around, well, you always drink with us. You always play flip cup. Like when we enter this friendship with Angelina and when we enter many relationships within our life, there could be this like unspoken agreement around, this is who I am, this is how you are, and we are going to stay within these roles of how we met one another. But that's not true connection. True connection means allowing each person to be free to explore themselves and the new directions and horizons that they are moving towards. And sometimes those journeys will be in alignment and sometimes they may differ. Maybe this journey around not drinking, you've never felt better. You feel so good. And that might change, that might shift how you spend time with Angelina, how you relate to Angelina. But it's not saying the friendship needs to suffer because of it. It's just around allowing it to evolve, around, I don't drink any longer. That's true to my journey. So let's find new activities that we like to do together rather than flip cup. And there can be an energy with the moon passing the South Node over the next couple days around letting go of any desire within you around people pleasing or needing to do what other people expect of you or what will get you validation from others. Instead, following your own arrow around what's true to you, trusting that the right relationships will grow and evolve with you, that no relationship that you are a part in should be contingent upon you showing up in a particular way or being a certain way or frozen this particular role. And again, sometimes our committed relationships do take sacrifice around it wouldn't be very responsible for me to just jet set without checking with my spouse, right? Like there are certain obligations that we do have to those that we decide to be in a committed relationship towards, but there's a difference between showing up for the commitments that you've made versus showing up for an outdated version of self. Around this is not true to me anymore. I might have been your go-to flip cup partner within many iterations of our friendship, but that's not true to who it is that I am currently. So honor where it is that you are shedding and purging and releasing outdated ways of people pleasing and wanting validation from others in order to follow your own truth, follow your own arrow. And with the energy of the Libra moon, you may be feeling more inclined around wanting one-to-one connections, but with this being in the waning crescent moon phase, it tends to be a time in which we are a little bit more introspective. You may be contemplating what is conducive for your peace and what takes your peace away. You may contemplate what dynamics feel truly balanced and which feel imbalanced within your world. There can be an energy with Libra moon around feeling very soothed by creating beauty within your environment. You may feel soothed by the connections within your life in which you do feel free to be your own person and you are allowing the other person to be free to be their own person. That could be a focus with Tuesday's Libra moon. So on Wednesday, October 30th, the headline news of today's astrology is that at 3:15 p.m. PDT, Mercury in Scorpio opposes Uranus in Taurus. So if today's astrology really was a newspaper and this is the headline, it's a shocking headline. It would be a headline that makes you kind of cock your head and be like, what? Whether it's bizarre, whether it's unexpected, or whether it disrupts your expectations of what you were expecting to read within the newspaper that day. The very nature of Uranus is expect the unexpected. And so you may receive text messages, you may read news headlines that are out of nowhere, out of left field. You also might find that your thinking is very erratic, very all over the place. You might feel quite anxious, quite on edge. So you could struggle with focus on Wednesday, certainly. You could also have some really out of left field, bizarre, random, eclectic, but brilliant ideas. You know, Uranus is the archetype of the weirdo, certainly, but it's also the archetype of the genius. When it comes to being a genius, it means thinking differently than the status quo or doing what everybody else is doing, which is why it's important to have moments like in the vibe check where you decide, I am my own person. I don't need to do what everybody else is doing at this party. And I see things differently. I'm not making them wrong for their decision to partake in alcohol, but I'm choosing to make different decisions. I'm choosing to see things differently. And maybe they'll say I'm weird, maybe they'll say I'm awkward, but at the end of the day, to thine own self be true. I mean, that is really ringing true within this week's astrology, is that you are responsible for your own journey, and there will be decisions that you make, things that you say, boundaries that you enforce, habits that you eliminate that not everybody will understand. It doesn't necessarily align with other people's expectations of you, but to thine own self be true. You have your own brain, it's time for you to use it. You have your own mouth, it's time for you to use it, and not for other people's benefit, but for the sake of being true to yourself. And so you can find on Wednesday that you have some really random conversations. You know, you might connect with someone at work and you guys start talking about UFOs or like something bizarre, or you might find that somebody brings up astrology to you. The very nature of Uranus is weird, is eclectic, differs from the norm. And lots of people, if you and I were in a room gabbing about astrology, lots of people would be like, oh, they're weird, they're bizarre, do they really believe in that stuff? And that's okay. It's a language that not everybody wants to speak. And maybe there's certain interests that they love to talk to other people about model trains, and that's where it is that they are honoring their own perspective and their own interests and things of that nature. Like I said, there's an energy this week around allowing people the freedom to be who it is that they are and honoring your zone of genius if you want to gab with somebody about astrology or something else that feels counterculture, as well as honoring your coworkers that might be geeking out about model trains or whatever it may be. Now, this was the energy within the vibe check around you saying something that disrupted Angelina's version of you. right? She's not used to you saying no to her, perhaps. She's not used to you speaking your mind. And also, she told on herself a little bit. That's the energy around Mercury and Scorpio, is being mindful with our language, because a lot of times people will tell on themselves. And what I mean by that is that she said certain things within that conversation, and sure, you can write it off. She was, drunk, or you guys have been friends for a long time. But there were certain things that she said that made it clear how she really feels about you. Like when she said, oh, you think you're better than other people? It's like with Mercury and Scorpio opposite Uranus, this can also be kind of shocking secrets exposed around, oh, you think my making a decision to better my life means that I'm better than other people. Maybe that's getting to an underlying story of how Angelina feels about me. It's not your responsibility to unearth how Angelina feels about you, or to even be paranoid around, does everybody think that? But sometimes when you are intentional with what it is that you add to a conversation and let other people speak, sometimes they can tell on themselves. Like that's the energy of Mercury and Scorpio, is being very intentional and very discerning with what it is that we are willing to share. And with the opposition Uranus, there could be shocking information that comes to light. Wednesday, there could be things that unfold that were not what you were expecting, out of left field, even just random meetings on the calendar, meetings that you forgot about that catch you by surprise, information that comes out about a certain client that it's like, huh? Technical difficulties. This is all par for the course when it comes to Uranus energy. So expect the unexpected is what I would say on Wednesday. The moon is in Libra all day long. It sextiles Venus in Sagittarius at 4:39 a.m., which just echoes that theme around, it's not saying that all of your friends that you're at this Halloween party with are bad, or that they're toxic, that you need to cut everybody off. It's not saying that. It's just honor the data of who really celebrates your own freedom to be your own person, who really empowers you around, wow, that's great. You're making a decision for your own health, for your own sanity. That's awesome. Maybe it's not the decision that I would make, but I don't live your life. And in the morning time, you might find particular pleasure around making something lovely to eat for breakfast, maybe going for a pre-work walk, maybe taking your kid to the park or something of that nature. There's just an energy around, yes, adventure with Venus in Sagittarius, but also pleasure with the Libra moon, also connection with the Libra moon. Also, you might find a particular enjoyment around getting ready, maybe got a costume or something of that nature, getting into the Halloween spirit early. And at 3:13, so actually right around the time that the Mercury opposite Uranus aspect exacts, the Libra moon will oppose Chiron in Aries, which kind of gave that energy of the vibe check around this information came out. Angelina kind of told on herself a little bit with the judgments that she made on you. And it leads to this energy around feeling lonely or feeling not understood, or around, gosh, I wish you were supportive of me. I wish your desire to have someone to play flip cup with wasn't stronger than your desire for me to be the most empowered, embodied version of me. You just could be seeing people's Halloween content and being like, wow, I don't have a party to go to, right? Or that energy around feeling alone in a group of people, right? Around everybody's on a certain wavelength and having fun, and I just feel so disconnected. I just feel like I don't belong here. But it's interesting because this weekend we have Jupiter sextile Chiron. This aspect repeats now that Jupiter's retrograde. And so the Libra moon, after it opposes Chiron, which can bring these pangs of loneliness, the Libra moon then trines Jupiter right after. So it's almost this energy around, yes, I feel lonely because you don't see me as I am, but I also acknowledge that I'm growing in new directions. And to grow means to outgrow. Not saying you need to cut off Angelina. Okay, we don't have enough information to know if Angelina needs to be cut off. But it's just this energy where when you no longer resonate or relate to environment, places, habits, and even versions of yourself that you used to relate to, that is a sign that you are evolving. And yes, there will be points where you feel lonely in that, but it's a signal and a sign that you are growing, which is something to celebrate. And so to a very practical level, I would just say you may have pangs of loneliness come up on Wednesday, but by the evening time, really focus on where it is that you do feel camaraderie, where you do feel connection, even if that's online. I think it's beautiful that we're able to tune into different voices where we resonate and relate, particularly if in our immediate environment we don't relate or we don't resonate as much. So on Thursday, October 31st, firstly, happy Halloween. Do you want to know something spooky? What's spooky is that early on Thursday the 31st, we do have this cardinal T-square forming in the cosmos, involving Mars, and Pluto as they are building to their opposition over the weekend. And you could feel the tension of this cardinal T-square alive within your Wednesday evening as well, but it officially aligns on Thursday, and you could just feel pulled in many different directions. You are never going to please everyone. You are never going to be liked by everyone. You are just going to exhaust yourself trying. Okay, is the biggest thing that I want to communicate on Thursday. And I do feel with this happening in the waning crescent moon phase, the balsamic moon phase, this might be something to shed and release. Because like I said about Scorpio energy, as we build to tomorrow's Scorpio new moon, Scorpio energy is not for everybody. And you are not for everybody. And by watering yourself down and trying to be for everybody, you're just going to be walked over. You're just going to be a pushover. You're just going to be a doormat. And that's something that we are releasing. There will be people who will find your passion project too much. There will be people who find you too much. There will be people who think your decision not to drink is weird. Why aren't you being like other people? You are not for everybody. And with this energy of Thursday, you just could feel pulled by what other people want you to do. You could feel competitive also. You could be comparing yourself to other people. Now, outside of that spooky cardinal fixed T-square, which might make us feel pulled between comparison, competition, even just feeling pulled by molding ourselves into what other people want us to be, the moon will square Pluto at 9:57 a.m., at which point the moon will be void until it enters Scorpio around 10:30 a.m. PDT, which feels quite appropriate for Halloween, having a Scorpio moon. And that evening at 5:33 p.m., Mercury in Scorpio will trine Neptune in Pisces, which Neptune in Pisces is about the fantasy. It's about the dream. So it could be quite powerful to put on your costume and really embody that version. Have you ever found that you dress up on Halloween and you step into the qualities of that particular character? Like being a little bit more chaotic if you're dressed as Harley Quinn, being a little bit more peppy if you're dressed like a cheerleader. It's not every day's Halloween where it's appropriate to wear costumes, but it can be powerful to know that you can embody and tap into different energetics, even just through your mindset, right? It's just a costume, but the way that you're able to tap into and embody, like that's all mindset, really, with the energy of Mercury in Scorpio. It's a lot about our mentality and our psyche. And just knowing that you have access to that, to step into that powerful version of yourself, even if you don't feel like you are that yet, to step into the mentality around what does my higher self think about? What do they dream about? Honestly, with the trine to Neptune as well. And knowing with all this watery energy that a lot of powerful shifts that we want to see within our external world, it can show up within our emotions, within our mentality, within our psyche. And with Mercury trine Neptune, remember to dream about what it is that you want. Remember to dream about the changes that you want to see, about the powerful versions of yourself that you want to embody. With the energy of Mercury trine Neptune, you might encounter on Halloween night, if you are going out, some smooth talkers. With Mercury trine Neptune, people who use their words to paint a pretty picture. This is a great evening if you are a poet or you are a writer, creating different worlds. Just be mindful. Luckily, you've got Mercury in Scorpio, so remember to ask the underlying questions. Investigate what's beneath the surface of the flowery language that other people could be laying on you. Also tonight, do know that around Halloween, the veil is the thinnest between worlds. And Mercury trine Neptune, you can really receive lots of downloads, lots of insights from your ancestors, from your spiritual support team on the other side. You also might find that your dreams are very telling tonight, so really honor what visions are coming to you. So on Friday, November 1st, happy November, happy Scorpio new moon. I love that we have this new month, this new moon, and this new opportunity to fully embody your most powerful version. New moons are opportunities to plant seeds. And within the vibe check, it was an elimination, right? It was something that we were letting go of, but it was less so around releasing the drinking. It was more so around what it is that you gain through that release. Like that's the energy of Scorpio, is what we gain through the shedding, around gaining peace of mind, potentially gaining clarity, gaining insight. Scorpio energy is around how much we can receive actually through the removal rather than through the accumulation. So yes, we are calling in this version of self that is more powerful and that has more clarity, but it's through cutting out the distractions or eliminating the distractions that are alive. And you don't have to necessarily cut out a bad habit or things of that nature, but think of the transformation that you could completely plunge yourself within, like completely committing to this powerful version of yourself. Because like I said, with a trine to Saturn, you are supported and you may need to leverage discipline. You may need to leverage boundaries and restrictions, things that aren't the most sexy. Might be a Scorpio new moon, which is quite alluring, but the trine to Saturn. Discipline isn't always sexy. It's not always exciting to get up and work out. It's not always exciting to say no to sugar. It's not always exciting to say no to drinking and alcohol and things of that nature, but it's thinking of the long term and thinking of the future version of you that is so proud of yourself, of evolving and creating this crisis situation in order to step into that new version. It's not saying we have to live in the extreme forever, but sometimes it can just be helpful to just say, hey, for 3 months, I am going to put all of the energy that I was putting into drinking and put it into this passion project. Or for 3 months, I am going to fully focus on my health and on this elimination diet in order to have the insights around what is messing with my digestion that will pay off throughout the rest of my lifetime. Or I'm going to fully commit going no contact with this person who has played a toxic role within my life in order to get clarity on what boundaries I may need to enact with this person moving forward. It's not saying we have to live in the extreme all of the time, but sometimes just fully plunging, fully committing gives you clarity, gives you insight. Because like I said, around alcohol, you get insight around when do I reach for it? What emotions am I trying not to feel? Do I have a genuine connection with these people at the party? Or were we all just drunk? And it's also tuning into, how do I feel? How do I feel? Do I have more energy? Am I thinking more clearly without this thing within my life? And if that elimination is a person or a certain situation within your life, pay attention to how you feel. When that person is no longer within your world, that tells you quite a lot. Like I said, there is an adjustment period where when you initially go no contact, when you initially break free of a connection, you will miss them. You will feel tempted to reach out. It's a bit like a withdrawal, truly. Like everything within your body will miss this person, crave this person, want to reach for this person. Once you level out, that's where the truth serum kicks in and you start to see the connection clearly. You start to see where it is that you feel compelled to reach out to this person, what role this person plays within your world, and if this person is good for you. Like I said, the energy of Scorpio can govern extremes. And sometimes there's people that you're so passionate about, that you love so fiercely, but they're just not good for you. With the trine to Saturn, it's just not helping you build what it is that you want to build. And sometimes when it comes to those individuals, there is a complete need for that cold turkey, no contact. I can't even have you within my space. Sometimes. And that may be the case for you if you find that you go no contact or you have a break from someone and you recognize, once you get over that hump of the withdrawal period, you recognize, wow, I finally feel good. What is this? I finally feel good. I feel confident. I have more energy. I feel like my hair looks better. My skin looks better. My appetite's back. I feel more confident. I feel more sure of myself. Interesting. Interesting. Honor that data. And that's where this extreme energy of sometimes elimination or no contact, even if it's cutting out sugar, alcohol, whatever it is, sometimes there could be data that you extract around, interesting. Interesting. Now I have more energy. Interesting. Now I feel less connected to these particular friends. Interesting. It could just be helpful just for your own data. Now, outside of that, with the energy of Scorpio New Moon, it could just be you stepping into new powerful ways around showing up within your psyche, within what's beneath the surface. So much of it is here. So much of it is seeing that embodied, empowered version of yourself and stepping into the mindset of that person. Even if your current circumstances do not represent that, get into the energy. This is a great time of year to start listening to subliminals as you're going to sleep. Get a hypnosis, do meditations to help you shift into that powerful version. Quantum leap. Honestly, with the energy of Scorpio New Moon, commit to the version of yourself that you are evolving into. Commit to your most powerful version. And with the trine to Saturn, support the subliminals, the hypnosis, the meditations with discipline within your day-to-day. The discipline to say no to things that are not good for you, that are not healthy for you, that are honestly toxic. The discipline to show up for that version. You can't just see yourself within that powerful version. You also need to take aligned action towards becoming them. Again, do the work here, but also do the work here. Is the ask of the Scorpio New Moon. To get more clarity on where exactly you can step into these really powerful, transformative shifts within your life, you'll want to look at where within your chart you have 9 degrees Scorpio. That is a particular life arena that is prime for these quantum leaps, for these shedding of the old and stepping into the new, for this transformation, this phoenix-like energy. And the new moon lands very early on Friday at 5:47 a.m. But do know that we have the new moon window of opportunity for the next 3 days. So you have lots of opportunity to work with the Scorpio new moon. My advice beyond the hypnosis, the meditation, doing all this spiritual mindset work, you may feel empowered or inspired being by bodies of water, maybe even taking a spiritual bath, speaking your intentions into a glass of water and then sipping it, going to the ocean or some other large body of water to remember your own power, to remember your own divinity, and play with a powerful commitment that you can make in order to bridge the gap towards your higher self. It's not saying you have to live in extremes forever, but making a commitment around, for the month of November, I will not drink, or for the month of November, I will work out every single day, or for the month of November, I will challenge myself. Rather than being on social media, I'm going to read a book every single week. Sometimes having those commitments helps prove to yourself that you're a powerful person, because you can trust yourself to show up, to do what it is that you say you're going to do, to step out of your comfort zone of what you've always done, and to create this deadline, this crisis, this intense decision in order to get closer to who it is that you are becoming. So on Saturday, November 2nd, at 1:12 a.m. PDT, Jupiter in Gemini, now retrograde, will sextile Chiron in Aries. And even though this energy exacts on Saturday, we have access to it all this week, moving into next week as well, because these are 2 slower moving celestial bodies. This is also the second time that this aspect has occurred. So it's a continuation of this story around being able to find the wisdom, Jupiter in Gemini, from our wounds, Chiron in Aries. Being able to have this higher perspective on where it is that we've suffered, on the pain that we have endured. And again, it's not saying that what it is that we have gone through is right or just in any sense of the word, but it is seeing how if we are able to extract wisdom out of it, find a lesson out of it, or give advice to other people out of what it is that we've gone through, we have transmuted the pain. We have turned it into something else. It's Scorpio season after all. This is alchemist energy around how it is that we take situations within our life that had immense sorrow, immense regret, immense despair, and turn it into something different. Even if that's turning it into a poem, turning it into a song, turning it into a lesson, turning it into even a calling of where it is that you feel empowered to lead and inspire other people. It doesn't take away the pain, but it does transform your relationship to it around, gosh, that relationship was hell to endure, but I wrote this great song about it. Or, gosh, that situation was humiliating, but now I can give this advice to my little sister and hopefully she won't make the same mistakes that I did. It's really how it is that we are the alchemists of our own life, turning our wounds into wisdom. And even the energy this time, now that Jupiter's retrograde, looking within at our wounds and what it is that we seek to fill them, right? The band-aid that we typically apply, the distraction that we allow, and maybe even contemplating what is really wanting to be felt. What is the void that is wanting to be filled? What is the pain that I'm feeling? And what is it that I reach for within this? Because if we don't integrate the lesson, it will keep repeating. And with Jupiter now retrograde, there could be this contemplation around really looking within around, gosh, it's another morning that I'm waking up hungover. I don't remember what I did. My friends say I was super fun, but I'm feeling uncomfortable and feeling out of control of my own life. And I can feel that feeling of shame and seek to have a band-aid around, let me just drink more. Or I can seek to contemplate, I keep repeating this cycle. Can I learn the lesson here? And shortly after that exact, we have Mercury in Scorpio trine Mars in Cancer. And you may find on Friday and Saturday, your mind is all fired up with possibilities. Yes, Mars in Cancer is a little temperamental, but we can find that we are feeling intuitively inspired, or we could be having conversations that are deep, that are soulfully nourishing. You can find that there's certain deep conversations that you're having with others that fill you up. Isn't that the best? When you are just able to have conversations where you really feel seen and you are able to talk about visions and ideas rather than drama and things that don't matter. Like, the very nature of Scorpio is around going deep. And with the energy of Mercury in Scorpio trining Mars in Cancer, you could be feeling more inspired or enlivened by certain deep conversations that you're having. You could be feeling more mentally busy around new visions for the future. I mean, we're still in the new moon window, so you could be contemplating what's possible. You could be wanting to put your mental energy towards things that are soulfully nourishing for yourself and that have depth and meaning to you. And while it can be a powerful time to move on intuition, to take aligned action around what it is that you want to communicate, what it is that you want to vocalize, what it is that you want to put out there can be an energy of urgency. You might have so many ideas and feel like they all have to happen right away. Or if you are incensed or aggravated about something, you may feel like you need to say something right away. Again, honor your intuition around what's important to say right now, but just don't buy into this now or never feeling that might be alive in the cosmos. And after Mercury trines Mars, it also sextiles Pluto. So again, new ideas that can support our evolution, that can support our transformation. Mercury is our conscious mind. Pluto is our unconscious mind, our psyche, what's happening beneath the surface. So like I said, big weekend for subliminals, for hypnosis, for meditation, for things that can support your underlying psyche. Even feeding your mind self-help books, books on your own psychology, books around how you're going to support your evolution can be supportive with this alignment. Now at 12:18 p.m., Mercury will enter the sign of its detriment, Sagittarius. Mercury does not like being in this territory of the sky, as Mercury is around clarity, conciseness, the details, the facts, the figures, while Sagittarius is the big picture. It is faith and meaning and morals. So the energies do not naturally align with one another. And I do want to highlight that if there are new ideas bubbling within you, which I feel like there will be for many with Mercury trining Mars, feeling inspired or empowered around new visions, new ideas, new conversations, I would advise you to plant at least some sort of seed this weekend or around this particular new moon. The reason I say that is because next week on the 7th, Mercury enters its pre-retrograde shadow period. Yes, we've got another Mercury retrograde on the horizon, which, contrary to popular belief, does not mean the world is going to end, but it does mean that it is more opportune for handling matters that have already been ongoing rather than starting new things. So if there are new ideas that you are passionate about, that you are enlivened about, new shifts that you want to make, new projects you want to put energy towards, even just planting the seed during this time, opening the document if you want to write a new novel, right? Having the conversation with your business partner if you want to launch a new product, or starting to brainstorm if you're a business owner around holiday specials. Put some energy towards it right now before Mercury enters its pre-retrograde shadow next week. And there can be an energy with Mercury and Sagittarius around getting lost in the forest rather than the trees, right? Around getting so lost in the big picture or so attuned to the vision and less interested in the details that kind of support the vision can be an energy. As well as when it comes to your conversations with others, there can be a tendency to want to get on our soapbox around how we see things, our own morals, our own perspective on the matter, and allowing that to be louder than other people's perspective. Like I said, any sort of connection means I'm free to be me and you're free to be you. And we might see things differently. I might have different belief systems than you, and that's not my invitation to speak louder or to dismiss how it is that you see things, which sometimes can be the case with Mercury and Sagittarius. But ultimately, it is a transit that's very visionary. It's very big picture, which you can leverage to your advantage, even when we get into Mercury retrograde, around being able to step out of the day-to-day, the trees of our life, just keeping up all of the things that we need to keep up, and taking a step back around what's the big picture? Where am I going? What is my arrow pointed towards? Where am I satisfied? Where am I finding meaning within my world, and where am I not? It can be helpful around finding that perspective. Now, the lunar story for Saturday is that most of the day, so until about like 10 p.m., the moon will be in Scorpio, which is the sign of the moon's fall. The moon does not particularly enjoy being in Scorpio because it is so extreme, right? It is so intense. And the energy of moon is around feeling fed and nourished. And there are moments in making these extreme decisions where we don't particularly feel nourished or fed, right? We want to reach for what's comfortable in that particular moment. We want to reach for the band-aid in that particular moment. And sometimes when we're in those extremes, we have to deal with the emotional intensity around not feeding that impulse or that desire, which sometimes can be uncomfortable. And you might find that your emotions do go through some intensity. So even though the moon is a little uncomfortable, it's a little intense, it is aligning for a really beautiful grand water trine, particularly in the evening time, linking Mars and Cancer. So again, honor your intuition, honor the nudges. There's a reason why you have that gut instinct. There's a reason why you had your guard up when meeting that new person. There's a reason why you felt inspired to go to this particular party, or why you got a nudge to not go to that party. Like, honor those rhythms, especially since the last player in the water grand trine is Neptune in Pisces. So honor what your intuition is telling you. Like I said, the veil currently is very thin, and everybody is intuitive. Everybody has access to the divine. So tune in, listen. The more you work that muscle of listening to your intuition and trusting it, the louder and louder that voice will be. The moon is void at 9:51 p.m. Closing aspect is the Scorpio moon sextile Pluto in Capricorn. So again, diving beneath the surface. The moon honors Sagittarius at 10:19 p.m., then aligning with Mercury that evening. So definitely could be a time where people are quite opinionated. If you are out and about, there could be people at the bar who are on their soapbox of sorts. There could be someone who seems like they know it all or is trying to tell you how you should live your life. But this could be a time around really contemplating the bigger picture, what has meaning towards you, what adventures you want to take on, or what new topics you want to learn about. So on Sunday, November 3rd, I do want to say that if you live somewhere that does abide by daylight savings time, make sure to change your clocks. And so on Sunday at 3:37 a.m., Mars in Cancer will oppose Pluto in Capricorn. And even though it's energy exact Sunday, I want you to be incredibly conscientious of this energy Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, moving into next week as well. Because we feel this energy as it comes and we feel it as it goes, and this energy is intense. There could be energies where you are questioning friend or foe. Like, this was the energy of Angelina at the party and being like, are you a friend to me or are you a secret hater? This also could be an energy around dealing with power plays, people who are trying to force their will on you, bully you, belittle you, tell you what to do, tell you how to live. The thing about change is that it can trigger people if they are locked into ways of being, where in a certain way, Angelina felt a little threatened by you changing. Because yes, A, the dynamic is different, but also B, maybe Angelina also has questions around her relationship to alcohol. And by you making this decision to better your life, it kind of creates this mirror to look at herself around, gosh, I wish I had the willpower to do that. But I don't, and it makes me uncomfortable to look at that, so I would just rather you play flip cup. Like, don't challenge my comfort zone. Just be how I expect you to be, so I don't have to look at that element of my psyche and my being. Like, again, you don't have to dive too deeply into why people respond and react the way that they do, but do know that sometimes you choosing to evolve or choosing to transform sometimes can trigger people, and that's where they will try to make you smaller or keep you in a certain box or enact their power over you. And that's where it's important to stand firm around, no, I made this decision. I'm not drinking tonight. Stand firm. Remember your power. Do not give your power away with this energy. If someone is trying to compete with you, if someone is trying to belittle you, make you feel smaller, understand that in an energetic sense, you've already won. If anybody's trying to make you smaller, if anyone's trying to push you down to make themselves taller, they consider you above them in some regard. So know that if people are trying to mess with you, if people are trying to compete with you, it's because they're threatened by you in some regard. And that's where that energy around friend or foe might come up, because it's like, why are you so threatened by me? We're meant to be friends. And you also could feel like you're in competition with people. You know, you could be feeling quite jealous. You could be wanting to compete or even bring someone else down in order to feel better about yourself. Focus on your own race. Do not be pulled into drama this weekend. There could be people who are trying to pull you into drama, make you pick sides. And with Mars opposite Pluto, there also could be an energy around overdoing it physically, potentially. Like you could push your body to exertion, which is why it's so important with Mars in Cancer to listen to your body's cues for rest. There could be an energy where people are even violent, intense, angry, mad. I mean, Mars, Pluto energy speaks to rage, like seething rage beneath. And when we think about Mars not dignified, there could be this passive aggressive energy around not standing up for ourselves, swallowing our anger until it becomes this very destructive force. And maybe we feel inclined to lash out. And also when it comes to Mars, anger can be fuel. Like there's a reason why Mars governs anger as well as motivation, because anger can be fuel. And rather than giving people a reaction or allowing yourself to hold on to these feelings of deep jealousy or rage or resentment for someone else, choose to alchemize it. It is Scorpio season. Alchemize those feelings of rage, of frustration, of jealousy, whatever it is, alchemize it. We're in the Scorpio New Moon window, so pull it into fuel in order to be your most empowered, your most embodied self. If something makes you mad, take all of that energy that interaction brought up with you, throw it into a workout. If something upsets you, put all of that energy that it brings up to you and put it into writing a new song. If you're feeling jealous of some other boutique owner's page, take all of that energy and put it into making your boutique the best that it can be. Anger is fuel. Competition can be fuel, but again, we just want to be mindful around not letting those feelings consume us or overpower us. It can be fuel to focus on being your best self, your most empowered self. Now for the Venus story. On Sunday morning, Venus will oppose Jupiter in Gemini and trine Chiron in Aries. So firstly, with the Venus opposing the planet it's answering to, Jupiter in Gemini, this can lead to excess. Excess shopping, excess sweets, just overall spirit of excess and indulgence that you may want to be mindful of, especially with earlier in the week, Venus square Saturn, wanting to exert restraint or think of long-term you or future you or things of that nature. With Venus opposite Jupiter, you could go out for brunch and decide to get pancakes and eggs and a coffee and a mimosa, like all of the things, right? All of the things. But outside of that, this is really going to heighten that Venus and Sagittarius desire for freedom. You could really just want to do your own thing today. Just be your own person, not have to listen to anybody else's rules. Follow the whims of your own adventure. Like this could be a great spontaneous day. Like with Mars opposite Pluto, people might have you effed up and you're just like, I need to go to the beach. I need to adventure. I need to explore. I need to just have a spontaneous day to come back to my big picture. Like in the bigger scheme of things, it doesn't matter if this person's boutique is doing better than mine. In the bigger scheme of things, it doesn't matter that my friend was kind of rude to me at that party. Like it's getting back to your own sense of meaning and going on an adventure, going on a quest of some sort that feels like it'll be healing with the trine to Chiron. And it's also just being mindful around how it is that you're framing freedom. That with the Chiron energy that's alive this week, there could be moments where you feel lonely, whether you are moving through a season of your life in which you are on your own, or even just feeling alone, even in a crowd of people, because you're just on a different wavelength, you just have different priorities. And you can view that one of two ways. You could be like, wow, I really don't resonate with people around me. I feel so lonely. I feel so alone. I don't know what I'm doing. Or you could view that around how freeing it is to live a life in alignment with my own sense of truth, with my own sense of meaning. And if you're moving through a season in which you're single, in which you don't have that many friends, this could be an energy around honoring the beauty that can come from that, around feeling free to spend your money in the ways that you want, to spend your time in the ways that you want, to not have to abide by social norms that don't feel true to you. It's like there could be pangs of loneliness and like, gosh, it seems like everybody else has a friend group, or gosh, it seems like everybody else has a partner or a family and I just feel different. I'm on my own wavelength. And that can feel isolating at some moments, but it can also feel freeing around, I get to live my life in alignment with my own rules. I get to live my life in alignment with my own beliefs and having the freedom to go in the directions that feel inspiring. Like, what a gift, truly. And then that evening at 8:10 p.m., Mars will enter Leo, which is good news for Mars. I will say it's leaving its fall of Cancer temporarily. It will re-enter during its retrograde. And with Mars in Leo, there's a desire to remember who the F we are. Remember who we are. Again, if someone's trying to belittle you, bully you, compete with you, Mars and Leo is stepping in the energy around, wow, that person is jealous of me. And rather than stoop to that person's level, I'm going to continue to shine and doing my own thing and being my own person. And it also has this energy around stepping into your confidence. And confidence truly is a muscle that we build. And sometimes that's the gift of making these decisions within our life around, I will not drink. I've made that commitment to myself, and every day that I go without drinking, I know that I can trust myself and I have confidence in myself and my decisions because I follow through. I do what I say I'm going to do. Like, we're in Scorpio season, which is a fixed sign, and now we have who the sun is answering to, Mars, in a fixed sign as well, which is around commitment. And honoring our commitments, doing what it is that we said we were going to do, that helps build confidence within us. Around every single day that I don't listen to my impulses around what would be easy or what would put a band-aid on it, but I instead think of my higher version, that makes me have more confidence in myself. Because confidence is not about winning the genetic lottery. Confidence is not about being born a confident person. It is making the decisions that reflect who it is that you are, which is around keeping your head held high, having dignity, having self-respect, saying no to things that do not bring the best out of you, making decisions that lead to you feeling proud of the person that you are. This is where confidence stems from. And this may be a focus with Mars transiting Leo. Now, the moon is in Sagittarius all day long on Sunday, which draws our awareness to the big picture of our life, to our belief systems, to our sense of meaning. I will say that while Sagittarius is an adventurous, spontaneous energy, you may be feeling less so, at least in the evening time, because around 10 p.m., the Sagittarius moon does square Saturn in Pisces. So this also could be an energy around you had a very adventurous, fun, spontaneous day, and then the evening time, you kind of had the Sunday scaries around having to come face to face with, oh, I didn't do my laundry, or I didn't do that home improvement project, or gosh, I have work tomorrow, and feeling the weight of that. There just could be an energy where our desire to feel free and to explore new directions comes face to face with this need to uphold our responsibilities and our commitments as represented by Saturn in Pisces. So my loves, that is our week. It's a big week of astrology, as you can tell. And the Magic Monday of the week to support you through it is I am free to be me. My loves, you are not obligated to stay frozen as a version of you that makes other people feel the most comfortable or how other people are accustomed to relating to you. You are free to move in new directions, to explore new parts of yourself, to pursue new visions and goals that carry inherent meaning to you. With Mercury opposite Uranus this week, there is this energy to embrace and embolden where it is that you break the mold, where it is that you march the beat of your own drum, where it is that you see things differently than other people. And with the energy of Scorpio New Moon, as you evolve, you get to know new sides of yourself, and other people around you will get to know the new sides of yourself that you are uncovering as well. And with both Mercury and Venus in Sagittarius by the end of the week, there is this focus around freedom, knowing that you have the power and the sovereignty to break through toxic habits, destructive habits, in order to expand in inspiring new directions, to attain new knowledge, new information, to go on this new quest, truly. So my loves, if you made it to the end of the forecast, go ahead and let me know by commenting below the word cup. Shout out to not playing flip cup. at the party, unless that is in alignment with the sovereign, empowered ways that you are wanting to show up, which again, differs person to person. I am by no means saying that everybody needs to cut out sugar. Everybody needs to go no contact with somebody. Everybody needs to start drinking. But if there is something that you are wanting clarity around and you're getting an intuitive hit that there's something within your life that is getting in the way of you stepping into your most empowered version, this may be a powerful week to commit to something that helps you investigate your relationship to this thing, to this habit, to this person, what have you. I'd like to give another warm thank you to Magic Mind for sponsoring this week's Magic Monday. Reminder that you can get 20% off when you utilize my code COMET at checkout. Thank you again, Magic Mind. So my loves, until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay